Imagine watching 100,000 pounds just vanish from your balance sheet this year.
Oh, wow.
Like, instantly gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you're staring at that massive hole in the ledger, you realize with this awful dropping sensation in your stomach that the 100 grand was actually just the cheapest part of the mistake.
Yeah, it's a really sobering reality. I mean, for a lot of businesses, that's not some thought experiment. That's just the cost of doing business on a Tuesday when a bad hire finally unravels.
Right, and we are diving straight into that unraveling today. We're doing a deep dive into the true, unvarnished financial impact of a bad sales hire.
Exactly.
We're unpacking some brilliant insights from Nathan Davis at the Sales Experts Ltd. to figure out why a hiring misstep in your sales department is, well, uniquely catastrophic.
It really is.
If you're listening to this, you're likely a sales leader, an executive, or a hiring manager. You already know that salespeople generate revenue. We aren't here to tell you water is wet.
No, definitely not.
We're here to look under the hood at the hidden mechanics of a failed hire. To show you how a bad fit doesn't just miss a quota, they actively degrade your market position.
Which is huge. It drains your leadership bandwidth and basically compromises your entire commercial ecosystem.
Yes. And to achieve ultimate sales success, that requires a fundamental shift in how we view the hiring process itself.
It really does. I mean, too often, filling a headcount is just treated as an administrative HR function.
Right.
But when you look at the actual math, bringing on a new revenue generator is a high-stakes strategic risk management exercise.
Absolutely.
A mistake here isn't just an awkward probationary review. It is an active threat to your organization's forward momentum.
So let's start with the baseline bleed. The visible numbers on the spreadsheet, even before we get into the hidden opportunity costs, the direct financial hit is just staggering.
Oh, it really is.
The breakdown from the sales experts models a standard mid-level commercial scenario. You bring someone in with a 60,000 pound base salary. You map out a 20,000 pound commission structure or draw. You've paid a 15,000 pound recruitment fee just to acquire them.
Yeah, and then you have about 5,000 in basic benefits, software licenses, overhead, all that.
Exactly. So boom, that is over 100,000 pounds committed almost instantly.
And here is the mechanism that traps so many executives, right? It's the camouflage of ramp time.
Ramp time, yeah.
In complex sales, you rarely know a hire is a complete disaster in month 1 or 2. I mean, they're learning the product, shadowing calls, mapping out their territory.
Doing motions.
Right. So by the time the failure becomes undeniably obvious, which is usually around month 6 to 8, a massive percentage of that 100 grand has already been spent.
The capital is just gone.
It's gone. You're starting from a deep financial deficit before they've brought in a single pound of closed-won business.
And there's the psychological trap there too, right? Like the sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah.
You get to month 6, the pipeline looks totally anemic, but you think, well, we've invested so much in their onboarding.
Let's just give them one more quarter.
Exactly. You extend the timeline because pulling the plug means admitting that you basically set 100,000 pounds on fire.
Yeah, which brings us to a really crucial distinction between operational roles and commercial roles.
Oh, this is a great point. Like, if I hire a bad administrative assistant, my files are messy and productivity dips a bit.
Right. Or if you hire a subpar back-end developer, development slows down. The code might be buggy, it requires peer review, and it's frustrating.
But the damage is contained internally.
Exactly. But when a commercial professional fails, they're doing it in public. They're interacting directly with your total addressable market.
Right, so a bad sales hire feels like setting my pipeline on fire. Why is the risk profile uniquely catastrophic here?
Because salespeople are the engine of revenue. When they fail, the consequences aren't contained to their desk. They ripple outward. They actively damage the company's momentum because they are exhausting the very finite pool of prospects you need to survive.
Let's look at how that actually plays out mechanically. This takes us into the hidden ripple effects. We move past the visible 100,000 pound cost and look at the opportunity cost.
The phantom money.
Yes, the phantom money that the CFO is counting on. When Nathan Davis outlines a scenario that should send a chill down any revenue leader's spine, honestly, the gap between expectation and reality.
Yeah, in the model, you hire a rep with an expected annual quota of 500,000 pounds, but they struggle.
They just lack the commercial acumen.
Right? They can't navigate complex buying committees, and they only manage to close maybe 100,000. That leaves a 400,000-pound hole in your financial projections.
And it is so vital to understand how those deals actually die. It's rarely a spectacular explosion, is it?
No, almost never. A bad sales hire doesn't usually get a firm no right away. What they get is a maybe later.
Right. They fumble the discovery phase. They fail to identify the real economic buyer. They don't multi-thread the account.
So the prospect stringently evaluates the product, realizes the rep hasn't built a compelling business case, and just pushes the decision to next year.
The pipeline gets clogged with zombie deals.
Yes, zombie deals. They look alive in the CRM, so the executive team forecasts that 400 grand.
But those deals are dead.
Completely dead. The rep just didn't have the skill to diagnose the time of death.
Which is incredibly dangerous for organizational planning. If leadership believes that 400,000 is coming in, they might authorize new hires in other departments.
Or sign off on a massive new marketing campaign.
Exactly. And when the revenue suddenly evaporates, it causes this cash flow shockwave across the entire company.
It really does.
Now, I want to play devil's advocate for a second. There's a temptation for a seasoned executive to look at this and think, okay, they missed the 400,000. But surely you can just fire the bad hire, replace them, and hustle to catch up on those lost deals right now.
I mean, that assumes a static market, doesn't it?
Right.
It assumes the market is waiting for you to get your act together, which it never is. Lost time in sales is permanent.
Wow, permanent.
Yeah, those deals that the underperforming rep left lingering in the pipeline don't just stay in a cryogenic state. Your competitors are actively probing those exact same accounts.
So if your rep is providing a frictionless, uninspiring buying experience, the competitor's rep is going to eat their lunch.
Oh, absolutely. The competitor is asking sharp questions, bringing commercial insight, challenging the prospect's assumptions.
By the time you realize your rep has fumbled the relationship, the competitor has already anchored the pricing.
And defined the buying criteria in their own favor. They've secured the vendor agreement. The opportunity isn't delayed, it's captured by someone else. And the cost to unseat an incumbent vendor is astronomically higher than winning an open deal.
Which introduces another massive hidden cost. The drain on your most valuable internal resource.
Leadership bandwidth.
Exactly. Let's look at the mechanics of what happens internally when a rep starts to slip.
It creates a black hole for management time. When a new hire struggles, the natural instinct of a good sales leader is to step in and fix it. You move from onboarding into intensive remediation.
You start doing what are called deal CPR.
Deal TPR is the perfect term for it. The sales manager is suddenly joining every single discovery call.
They're rewriting the rep's follow-up emails.
Yeah, they're manually reviewing every CRM entry. They're essentially doing the job of the salesperson while also trying to manage the rest of the team.
And the opportunity cost there is profound. If a VP of sales is spending 15 hours a week doing deal CPR on a failing hire, that's 15 hours with them. They are not spending coaching their top performers to close multi-million-pound strategic accounts.
Right, they're dragged down into the weeds of basic execution instead of focusing on high-level revenue strategy. It's a massive misallocation of expensive leadership talent.
And if that isn't enough, consider the replacement cycle. When you finally pull the plug on the bad hire, you have to repeat the whole process.
You're back to zero. Actually, it's worse than zero, because now you have to duplicate your initial investment. You're paying a second recruitment fee.
Pulling the management team back into hours of interviews.
Restarting a 3 to 6 month ramp-up period for the new person. You are effectively paying twice the acquisition cost for the same eventual headcount, while the territory just sits unworked for another quarter.
This brings us to what might be the most insidious part of this whole equation, the collateral damage to your culture and your customers. Let's talk about the external damage first.
Yeah, it's often the hardest to quantify, but the most permanent. Salespeople are the tip of the spear for your brand. They're often the first substantial human interaction a prospective client has with your organization.
So if that first interaction is characterized by poor communications, slow follow-ups, and just a fundamental inability to answer technical or commercial questions, it sends a very specific signal.
The buyer doesn't just think, wow, this rep is bad. They think, wow, this company's operations are a mess.
Exactly. Buyers use the sales process as a proxy for the customer success experience. If it's this difficult and disjointed to give you our money, how agonizing is it going to be when we actually need technical support?
A bad sales interaction permanently alters the market's perception of your brand's competence. Restoring that trust requires an executive to step in, do a massive apology tour, and practically give away margins to win the deal back.
And the internal damage is just as destructive. I always compare a sales team to a professional sports roster. Top performers want to play on a winning team.
Right.
If they feel like they are carrying dead weight, they'll just ask for a trade.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sales is highly performance-driven. When one person fails, top performers have to compensate. They get frustrated, morale drops when targets are missed.
Because their bonus pool shrinks.
Exactly. And your best people might actually quit. Think about the sales development reps, the SDRs. Their compensation is tied to the account executives successfully closing the meetings they book.
So if an SDR works incredibly hard to source a fantastic enterprise opportunity and hands it off to a bad hire who drops the ball,
That SDR's morale plummets. They feel like their labor is being burned. And it ripples into customer success too. A failing salesperson is desperate to get anything on the board, so they start overpromising,
selling features that don't exist.
agreeing to unrealistic implementation timelines just to get the signature and get management off their back.
And then they throw that toxic deal over the fence to the customer success team, creating intense friction between departments.
It's a domino effect. It slows expansion, delays product launches, and can even shake investor confidence.
So if the blast radius is this wide and the stakes are this high, we have to ask the difficult question. Why do smart executives keep making this mistake?
The core issue, the trap that the sales experts specifically warn against, is relying on flawed evaluation methods. Companies rely on interview confidence, personality, impressive CVs, and industry familiarity.
The interview charm fallacy.
Exactly. But these do not guarantee revenue generation.
I mean, just because a candidate can sell themselves for 45 minutes in an interview room doesn't mean they have the stamina or commercial behavior to navigate a 6-month enterprise deal.
It's a fundamental misattribution of skills. That pleasantness is a baseline requirement, but it is not a predictor of success.
So how do we get it right? Let's give our listeners the actionable takeaways to get this right.
Takeaway number 1 is to evaluate properly. Focus on evidence. You need to assess pipeline generation ability, quota attainment history, deal ownership, and closing capability through structured interviews.
So demanding specific, verifiable evidence of closing capability rather than just going with a gut feeling.
Exactly. The sales experts emphasize structured recruitment processes over gut feelings. You have to treat a sales hire as a strategic investment in revenue growth, not just filling an empty desk.
That ties directly into takeaway number 2, which is securing precise market fit.
Yes, match the candidate to the commercial environment.
Because someone who crushes it in fast, transactional sales might totally drown in complex, long-cycle enterprise deals.
They will completely drown. The muscle memory required for different sales motions is completely distinct.
And takeaway number 3 is to use specialist recruiters.
Right. Headhunting passive candidates is crucial. The absolute best sales professionals are usually already employed and definitely not scrolling job boards.
So if you just post an ad on LinkedIn, you're severely limiting your talent pool.
Exactly. Specialist sales recruiters actively map the market. They identify the individuals who are currently excelling in the exact environmental fit you require, and they proactively engage them.
It's an insurance policy against that massive financial risk.
It really is.
Well, we've covered a vast amount of ground today. To sum it all up, the true cost of a bad sales hire isn't just their salary.
No, it's the lost revenue.
It's the burned market opportunities and the massive hit to team morale.
It's one of the most silently extensive mistakes a leadership team can make.
So, for everyone tuning in, if you have an open headcount right now, do not leave your revenue to chance. Take action before your next hire. We highly encourage you to visit thesalesexperts.com and dive into their Q&A section.
It's an incredible resource.
It really is. You can explore exactly how top sales candidates are identified and assessed for ultimate sales success. Get the strategy right before you commit capital.
Absolutely.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final lingering thought. Picture the absolute best salesperson on your team right now.
You rock.
Yeah, your top closer. Now, ask yourself if your absolute best salesperson handed in their resignation tomorrow because they were exhausted from covering for an underperforming teammate,
Oh, man.
how much would that ultimately cost your business?